And I have midday. This 30-minute presentation is being recorded and streamed live or watch later on www.llol.com.au. Please mute your sound and hide your camera if possible. For technical support or to provide feedback, email us at contact@artsfront.com.au. For Auslan users, click on Susan's screen and pin it still. Live captions are also available. Click on the Zoom CC icon below. A chat function is also available to you. Type any questions or share any information you have here. Please introduce yourself and let us know whose country you're on. Please listen to a dugong story.
Gaurema Barana
Stories.
Gaurema Punbarana
Stories of the sea.
Jabunyo
When I was a young boy,
Nyando
I would watch the
Munye
boats as
Kondo
they left the
When I
shore
was a
to
young
hunt
boy,
dugong.
I would watch the boats as they left the shore to hunt the dugong.
Munye Mibin Gayala
The men were
Narapan
using nets.
Ngoi
However, the old people told
The
me
men
how
were
they used to
using
hunt the
nets.
dugong.
However, the old people told me how they used to hunt the dugong.
They fished from canoes, hunting with spears as they followed the
They
telltale
fished from
signs
canoes,
of neatly cut
hunting with
seagrass,
spears as they followed the
floating on the
telltale signs
surface
of
of the
neatly cut
gutters and
seagrass,
grassy banks.
floating on the surface of the gutters and grassy banks.
Gangala Wow
Did you know the common English name for the dugong was sea cow?
Did you know the common
The reason for
name
this
for
is the dugong
was
and the
sea
cow have the same
The
cuts of
reason
meat,
for this
and they
is the
both
dugong
eat
and the
grass.
cow have the same cuts of meat, and they both eat grass.
You see, dugong is something we ate at a large gathering,
You see, dugong is something we
not
ate
something
at a
you would
large
bring
gathering,
home for one family.
not
It was to
something
feed
you
many,
bring home
many
to one
families.
family. It was to feed many, many families.
Every part of the dugong was used,
Junguna
including the oil.
Every part of the dugong was used, including the oil.
I remember Uncle Dooley, Bob Campbell, and his brother rendering
I
down the
remember
dugong
Uncle
blubber
Billy,
at
Bob
Amity
Campbell,
Point
and his
on
brother
Stradbroke
rendering
Island.
down the dugong blubber at Amity Point on
It was
Stradbroke
very
Island.
pure, chocolate so fine,
It was very pure.
it would penetrate glass over time.
It would penetrate glass over
The
time.
oil was used for medicinal purposes. We would
The
drink
oil
it
was
for a
used
sore
for
throat.
medicinal purposes. We would drink it for a sore throat.
The main use was rubbing it into muscles
However,
and joints.
the main use was rubbing it into muscles and joints.
And it's with this in mind, a dugong feast for all,
And it's with this in mind, a dugong
that I
feast for
welcome you
all,
as our guests,
that I welcome you as our guest,
as you share, plan, and learn.
as you share, plan,
Be encouraged to use resources wisely
be
and
encouraged
ensure
to
your
use resources
efforts
wisely,
enhance our natural environment,
and ensure your efforts
sustaining it
enhance our
for future
natural
generations.
sustaining it for future generations.
Welcome to our country, Yugambeh country.
Welcome to our country, Yugambeh country,
May our country, waterways, and sky
and may our country, waterways, and sky provide for you and keep you well.
Hello, everybody. Yay! Hey, Libby! My name's Alicia Melanie Jones, and I'd like to welcome you to this little lunch online today. Big thank you to everyone who's put that, who's made that happen. We're coming live from Kombumerri country, which is one of the groups in the Yugambeh language region down on the Gold Coast. My cultural connections are the Ben Lomond and Swanport peoples of La Truita, which you might know as Tasmania. And I just give a shout out to my father who's living down on Yorta Yorta country, which is where I spent a lot of my years growing up. I've spent the last 20 years living and working with many Aboriginal communities in Queensland. And I'm just going to try and show you a little video about myself before you meet the very special guest. Right. I've got my own personal mute admin, Estrada. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure that that was my video doing those crazy echoes or something else. So thank you, Sarah. I'd like to introduce you all to a gentleman that I respect and admire greatly, Mr. Lan Leving. I've known him in circles for quite a number of years. However, we officially started working together at the Festival 2018 Sand Circle as part of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Lan's a bit of a quiet achiever down on the Gold Coast, and it has been over the last few years that we've seen him really explore his cultural heritage in a really public way, and we're very grateful that he's done that. Lan and I worked together to deliver the First Nations component for the statewide regional arts conference, Arts Ablaze, which happened on Mananjali country last year. Many of you will know about that. And Lan and I continue to work together to deliver programs that are about capacity building and training and education for Aboriginal peoples in the creative industry sector. So I am going to hand you over to Mr. Lan. He's online. Lan, hello and welcome. And would you mind telling us a bit about yourself, your cultural connections and life in general?
Hey guys, morning, afternoon. Yeah, I'm Kumba-Meri, born and bred on the Gold Coast. On my dad's side, we're Kumba-Meri, and on mum's side, we're actually direct descendants of William Duncan Primary School. He was the first timber getter, or I guess local white resident, to move into the Gold Coast and start working and living here. And he communicated and developed relationships with Aboriginal people, all that sort of stuff. So on mum's side, I've got that part of me as well. So I've got sort of, I guess, the best of both worlds that the Gold Coast has to offer. A bit about my family. So dad was born in Brisbane, but he actually went to school. He's 77, I believe, this year, and he went to school at Southport. I was born in Southport as well. Mum was born in New South Wales, but we don't mind that. That's okay. We still go for Queensland and the state of origin. I'm living out in Pacific Pines area now, which is very much traditional area for my people. We were salt water, but we moved in here in just at the foot of the mountains as well, and we've been here for quite a while, and it feels very much at home here with my family. We've got three kids, two girls and a boy. They're quite a big age difference apart. I've got a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old. They're both born on the same day, and I've got a baby who's now how old is she now? 11, nearly 11 months old. So it's a big gap starting again. So as far as my cultural side of things, like Alicia said, it's only the last couple of years that I started to get involved in that side of things. And through things like the Commonwealth Games and Festival 2018 with Alicia, it kind of opened my eyes to the need to get involved instead of just doing the normal mainstream thing that I've been doing for many years as a musician and running shows, performing, all that sort of thing. I decided that seeing my dad involved with the Commonwealth Games, a guy who'd never get involved with anything at remotely like that, seeing him get involved was great for me to see how much it meant to him and to my family and to get involved in that. And that's why I decided to do that. And it's been great. I'm sort of just following Alicia's lead when she says, "Hey, we should be involved in this. We should do this. We should, maybe you can help." And it's great. It's fun. I've met so many people that I've heard about and made connections with these people and getting involved with them. It's really good. And I'm starting to drag my kids into it as well. And my parents are getting involved more and my entire family. So it's a good thing. And it's just been great over the last couple of years doing that cultural side anyway.
Lam, can I jump in and ask you, we copped a lot of flack on the Gold Coast for supporting a cultural program and mob coming down from across the way and getting harassed. I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit more perhaps of what it meant for your father to be part of that massive gathering, which brought many of us a huge amount of joy and tears. I wonder if you could speak to that a bit more before we talk about COVID-19 effects.
Yeah, well, definitely that was my my lead into doing things further, because seeing Dad get involved, he was part of the opening ceremony, closing ceremony. He was fully painted up, and you're talking about a guy who just would not be involved with any of that sort of thing whatsoever. He's a very quiet man, very peaceful guy, and he just really just loved it. And just watching him get involved and talking to the grandkids, talking to other people, communicating, showing his photos, talking actively and openly about being Aboriginal and being, the things that he's seen and the things that he's done. It's really opened it up for me to become more involved, and that's the main thing. It was a real eye opener. Just getting to know all these people and seeing Dad and his uncles and my uncles get involved was great.
So what I'd like to do now is give people a snapshot of your creative practice up until about 2 months, maybe 3 months ago, before the pandemic decidedly caused a revolution. So I'll share screen, and should be this one. How did we go? Did that one play?
Yep.
Thumbs up, great. So tell us, that was a very quick snippet, but yes. There seems to be a lot of costumes. There seems to be some beautiful women and pop music going on.
Yeah,
what have you been doing?
Well, everything. So we work predominantly in club venues, the corporate market, where we have tribute shows, so concept shows, and we do things like Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Lady Gaga, Pink, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Sia, We do 80s shows, we do 90s shows, we do a Spice Girls show now, which we actually didn't get to do yet because of COVID. I perform as a solo artist as well, doing acoustic gigs, and we have various bands that float around between here in the Sunshine Coast doing all of our regular stuff. Plus I have people like my partner Bianca, who is a dancer and puts together the dance choreo for all of this stuff. And we do kids shows. We have a Laugh Out Loud kids show with a puppet and dancing, and we dress up and have theme nights and for Halloween and Christmas and Easter and all that sort of thing. So it's quite a massive sort of undertaking, keeping all that going. And pretty much March 15, it all just went stopped.
And so how many gigs would you have, was your general like weekly standard or monthly standard up until pandemic?
Well, we'd probably do at least 1 or 2 concept shows a month. Personally, I would do 5 to 7 shows a week, 5 to 7 gigs a week. And that could be a solo gig right through to a concept show. And we would do, we also have dance classes and things that we do, but that aside, it'd be 5 to 7 gigs every week. And that just ended March 15, done and dusted. That was the last gig that we did.
And so if you can speak candidly on actually how that feels. You've got young people in your house. I know many of us are parents. So what's that like for you? Yeah, and has any of this, well, let's talk about that first, and then I'll ask you the next question.
Well, I guess like everyone, it's kind of, it's daunting at first. Like at first you kind of go, okay, well, no worries. We'll have a couple of weeks off, or we're going to have a week off, and it's all going to be okay, and we'll get back to it, pretty soon. Then next thing, it's a couple of weeks later, and you're kind of going, I really should be doing something, getting prepared for when we come back online. How is it going to look? What are we going to do? And for me personally, I feel demotivated. I'm a very motivated, enthusiastic human when it comes to this sort of stuff. And it's been 5 or 6 weeks now. I don't even know, 6 weeks. And I'm just not feeling like me. I'm not feeling like what's the point? I'm sort of at that demotivated to the point where I don't know whether what road I should be traveling down. That's kind of where I'm feeling. So it's kind of been it's like a roller coaster ride. At first you kind of, it'll be okay, everything's going to be good. Then there's at least 1 or 2 days a week where you just really you don't feel even like doing anything. You're just sitting around, and I guess as the restrictions got worse and we weren't allowed to do this and we weren't allowed to do that, it's kind of it's just daunting, I guess, and not knowing really where this is going to end and what it's going to mean for us as musicians and entertainers and arts people.
And I'm finding that a challenge in the way that many of us are continuing to write project funding applications and those kind of things, but really questioning what is the point of that? How long will this go on? Because we really don't know. I mean, every day the news is saying something, slightly different than what they said the day before. And it's a challenge when you go from contract to contract to commission to commission.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're club based, and we're at the mercy of clubs when they come back on. Like for my mainstream, my bread and butter gigs.
Sorry, can you just extrapolate on the clubs? What you mean by the clubs?
So venue clubs. So like your sporting clubs, your bowls clubs, your RSLs, all that sort of thing. Yeah, we're kind of at their mercy, and at the moment they're not operating. And who's to say that they'll operate the same when we come back? We don't know that. So it's all the unknown things that you wonder, there's so many things that we can do right now, but we can't really promote what we do either, because putting together new promotion means getting people together in the same room and rehearsing things, nutting things out. You can only have so many meetings online. You really need to get together. And it usually takes me at least 6 months from the time that we design and create something to getting it actually out working. So we could be at least 6 months after this all finishes before we get any of our new shows out up and running.
And Lan, have you had any contact with any of those venues that you were working with? Has there been any consultation with you or anything like that to check in with you, or
No, I've had nothing at all. I was saying that to Bianca probably last week, I think it was. I said, we haven't had any of our agents or venues or clubs contact us, see how we're going. I've had plenty of musos and plenty of other people doing that, but just seems to be a lack of communication. We've kind of put feelers out to people, see how they're going, but I haven't actually had anything from any of the clubs really. I guess they don't know what they're doing either, and I think a lot of the people have been put off, been sent home to sit it out for a while. So the people that I usually would normally talk to probably aren't even working at the moment.
You've got a studio at home, the Justice Drum Studio.
Yep.
I know you said you're demotivated, but I wondered if for yourself there is a creative boiling of words or lyrics or sounds that are springing up from this experience.
Well, kind of. My daughter and I and Bianca, we kind of get together and make up stupid videos to keep ourselves occupied. And I mean stupid. But Kiara and I also put together some music for my Auntie Lottie. We designed a little song and wrote that and recorded it and did all that. So that's those sort of things. They're little positives that we try and do to keep ourselves sane.
Okay, well, how about I attempt again to do a share screen, and we'll show people what you and your beautiful family have been up to. Okay, let's see how it goes. Hold on to your hats. Maybe you can talk something while I try to do this, Lan.
So is this the Revenge of the Dad?
I think it will be Revenge of the Dad. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the little video that we did, coping with having a teenager during this crisis while they're at home and bored and all that sort of thing.
So
she didn't have to act. She just acted. She just did exactly what she does. She spills milk and cereal and all sorts of stuff everywhere all the time. So we thought we'd just make a joke of it.
So how many of those have you made? Does Dad have a character name, and where can he potentially go to?
No, I haven't got a character name. But somehow he's kind of like an Asian Dave Grohl or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on.
So how many of them have you made, and how was Kiara's response to the invitation to make comedy, which I didn't know was your thing?
Yeah, so we did about 4 of them. So she's been feeling a little bit down because she can't hang out with the mates and all this sort of thing. So she's in contact with them on a phone and a computer and all that sort of stuff. But she was having a little bit of a tiff with one of her friends. And so to cheer her up, I said, look, we'll just do some stupid stuff. So she didn't want to do it. she thought, "No, I don't want to do that. It's going to be stupid." But by the end of it, she was just having a ball, we were laughing and carrying on. So, yeah, plenty of fun. And that's the main thing. We all had a bit of a laugh.
And what do you think you might do with them? And perhaps if people have some ideas, they can write them in the chat function. But I mean, clearly there's a brilliant little Instagram series or Facebook series in that little short trailer. Yeah. So what are you thinking? Where might it go?
Well, it'll end up on Facebook for sure. We'll throw it up there, and we'll just let it do its thing. I don't think I have a YouTube account. I had one years ago, but I don't really use YouTube so much. But we'll throw it up on Facebook and just see what happens with it. It's just a little bit of light fun. I've seen some really good ones, and I thought we'd have a go.
And Len, I wondered if you had applied, and for those who are listening who are have connections to Gold Coast, Home of the Arts has a Rage Against the Virus fund, which is $1,000 to make some work. Potentially you could apply to create a small series of those with that money.
Yeah, well, we could. Yeah, we've put in a few ideas, so we're just waiting to hear back on some of those concepts that we've done. There's a whole bunch of different things that I think you can do. There's I'm quite big on meditation and all that sort of thing. So I'd love to put something together like that, especially at the moment. I've sort of got my daughter listening to stuff, and we put the baby to sleep with a little bit of Deepak Chopra sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
She likes to chill out to that, or a bit of Didge music or something. It's just little things like that. So I think we could definitely have those sort of funny little video things in that Rage Against the Virus.
And I think it's worth a go. And there was a question that just came through re-asking what that fund was. So I've just put it in the chat function. It's Home of the Arts, or HOTA, which is our old art centre, and it's called Rage Against the Virus. I'm conscious of the time. I've got 12:27.
Yep.
So I know that we've only got a couple of minutes left. Just in terms of, I know that, was partly thereof you applied for the Individuals Fund for Arts Queensland. How did that feel? Because you've got two very gusto friends going, hey, you should do this and we can help you. But you're a very a proud man. I know you're a really hardworking man. You work for every dollar you get. So wondering just how that felt to go through that process.
Well, it was a little bit overwhelming, actually. Because you're sitting here, like I said before, the people that you've been working with, your agents, your venues, your clubs, and some of these clubs we've been working at for 10 years. And we've been there every Sunday, at a venue for 5 years, and none of these people have bothered to pick up a phone or email you or text you to see how you're going, how's everything. And to have people like yourself and Nadine and Joe constantly throwing me ideas, pointing me in the right direction, which is something that is in the back of my mind right now, is where to from here. If I can't go back to what I was doing, what am I going to do? How can I keep doing what I kind of do in the creative field? And I think you guys have just been amazing, helping me out, pointing me in the right direction. Because this stuff, I don't know much about this stuff. I just go and do shows, and I do what I do. So it's leading me into other areas, which can only help. And if we do go back to normal, well, then I've still got all these other things that I've learnt.
You've got banking and comedy.
Yeah,
Nobody knows about the banking.
Yeah,
I used to be a banker.
I used to work for the ANZ Bank, and I went from batch clerk and teller right through to a business lending manager. And I got offered to go to Melbourne and be a manager down there and get paid for everything, and I just went, nah, don't want to do it. So I left and became a muso.
And so if anyone out there needs help with their arts budgets, email this guy. Now, before we go, I just wanted to, and because there's a bit of chat about it, why did you choose Dugong's story for welcome this morning or this at lunchtime?
Why? Well, it was a story that my dad told me about Dugong. He was talking about it. So I put that into some, a little bit of a story. But it's also quite relevant, I think, right now, because at the moment you have a lot less boats and a lot less activity around the Broadwater. And it's been told to me by a few people now that there's a lot more dugong and dolphins and a lot more wildlife hanging out in the Broadwater. The seagrass is growing back a little bit. So it's kind of like one of the positives of this virus thing, where it's keeping the humans out of the way and all of the animals are coming back in. And you're hearing reports about this all over the world. But locally, and especially for us, we haven't seen dugong here for a long time. Every now and then you will, but at the moment they're popping up everywhere, which is great. Just hope we don't scare them away again.
And I think that's a real anxiety for most of us who can see some real benefits in, this pandemic is somewhat the edge of a revolution potentially. And so I know there's a shared anxiety about the increasing number of cars, just even now on the road, the increasing number of people in shops. So yeah, that'd be a good question of how do we continue and create this society that we all want and know in our hearts, and how can we maintain that every day? I think we might. Is that time, Sarah? I'm getting the nod. So I want to say thank you very much to everyone who came on. Beautiful shout out to Glenn and Libby. So good to see you, and Joe down there. Thank you, Lan. I appreciate you coming on, and to our captioners, our signers, and Feral Arts for making this happen. Please have a wonderful day, and turn off your devices for a while.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Big love.